again. Happy Sunday. This week I want to talk to you all about budgeting. Last week we discussed tips and tricks for how to negotiate and get that salary we all deserve. But once we have the money, where should it all go? Budgeting is the idea that you need to split up your income into different categories and treat each one a little bit differently. There are so many ways to budget, but I'll share just a few of my favorites with you. For the most basic personal budget, specifically for young people like us, it's good to use a rule I call the 50-30-20 rule. This means that you'll be splitting your income into 3 categories. 50% of your income will be spent on fixed costs, 30% on guilt-free spending, and 20% on future spending. Let's break down what each of these categories means. For an easy way to remember the 50-30-20 rule, think about what you spend right now, what you will spend this month, and what you will spend in the next 40 years. So fixed costs. You should aim to allocate 50% of your take-home pay towards fixed costs. Keep in mind that take-home pay is the amount actually written on your check after taxes. We will discuss this more another week. Fixed costs are anything that you really can't live without and that will remain roughly the same from month to month. This will include paying rent, utilities, internet, cell phone bills, car payments, loans, and even groceries and clothing necessities. Rent is clearly a big part of these fixed costs, so I would plan to spend about half of this portion on rent. Guilt-free spending. This is the fun stuff, like shoes and drinks and fancy dinners. Anything that you see as a luxury would fit into this category, and you have 30% of your paycheck to spend on that. Lastly is what I call your future spending. This can be the most complicated, so bear with me for a second. Future spending is anything that you're saving on or investing in for the future. Your savings may include long-term plans for vacations or to buy a house. This is money you won't want to access until you are ready to spend it down the road, and it's important to stick to that and not to spend it unless it's an emergency. Investments are also a type of saving for the future, but the fun part is you actually make more money off of them. These investments we will discuss more in the future, but they include, most importantly, putting part of your paycheck into a retirement fund so that you can still do fun activities when you're old. I know that these future savings seem so far off at this point, but just as much as you want to spend your money and enjoy it now, you want it even more when you're older, so it helps to start saving today. Future you will thank you for it. And that's the 50-30-20 trick. Not too tough, right? But the bottom line is that even if you break down a budget like this, it won't do you any good unless you actually use it. I know it can be a drag, but it's important to sit down each week and look over what you have spent. Fortunately, we don't live in the olden days, and technology is here to help us. Check out apps like Mint or Bundle, which connect with your credit card and debit cards and track the money you have been spending on different activities and products. This way, each week you can monitor your spending without having to save any receipts. If you create a budget for yourself and never spend more than you earn and commit to sticking to it, you can assure that you will always have money for the necessities, and for some fun, too. I hope you have learned something from this video today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the space below. It's been so fun catching up with you, and I'll see you again next week. Later!